Everybody calm down. We're gonna talk about the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes, we have to. No, you can't skip this video. It's illegal not to watch it. And yes, I know, you haven't seen the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. You may not even know who Jayne Mansfield is. That's fine. She's the lady in that boob picture. Also, calm down, okay? Just take a few breaths, like and subscribe to our channel. It'd really help us out. We're actually gonna need it after this. Look, I don't know why this is happening any more than you do. Like, as in any of this. The papers fall, they're blank, but I can read them anyway somehow. I go, oh, wowee! I run out of papers, but I can't leave, and then from somewhere, there's just more papers. And so on. We usually don't show it, but here, see, oh, I'm out of papers. I'm out of paper. I can't explain it. There's no escape. It's just happening, okay? Because we're not just going to talk about the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, but specifically this YouTube copy of The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, brought to us by the Museum of Classic Chicago Television, whatever that is, but thank you for your service. Because this YouTube copy of The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, happens to be the original debut broadcast on CBS with ads as it appeared in Detroit on, think about this, October 29th, 1980, which is 6 days before the 1980 election, during which America got Reagan fever, which is similar to Trump fever, although I guess that's just COVID. So that makes this copy of the Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, a sort of time capsule, a 2-hour chunk of entertainment showing a simpler time in America before social media, before AI slop, before all this stuff that sucks. We weren't always trapped inside this giant fishbowl of fear and distraction and propaganda. So I figured it would be fun to just, check it out. Open the time chest and see what sort of treasure is inside. Let's watch the first, 10 or so seconds. For fun, jump in that old time machine, put on your fancy steampunk hats, and have ourselves a jaunt. Let's-a go.
A 2-day-old baby was found dead in a Taylor garbage dumpster. That story at 11.
All right, well, you're all mad at me now. I can feel that. Sorry. I'll say it. Sorry. Bad start. I wish you could skip this video, but you can't. Trump passed a law saying you have to watch it. Also, I didn't want to tell you this right away, but here's some news. This copy of the Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, is the most important 80s TV movie to watch if you want to understand everything that's gone wrong with America. Not just back then, but right now. I have found, through not watching any other 80s TV movie, but the Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, that the key to America's darkness is in the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is my ear bleeding? Everything wrong with America is in this copy of the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's best that you don't ask too many questions. Think of it like smoking weed. Don't fight it, go with the flow. If you see a cop, just immediately freak out and run because they know you're high. You gotta go. They know. Yes, we are going to talk about this YouTube copy of the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That is this episode. But mainly, we're gonna talk about each of the different ad breaks between the movie itself. But surprisingly, we're also going to talk about the movie. Haha! All right, movies! It's hard not to acknowledge that, for example, this is a movie from 1980 starring Arnold Schwarzenegger pre-Terminator, in which he plays a dramatic part, and in fact is the narrator of the film. It's not good. We love Arnold, but,
I don't even know you anymore. You're not the same Jayne I married.
What are you talking about? All I need is an angle. I mean, just one more really good spread in Playboy.
Playboy.
It's not good. But again, this isn't really about the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's about the spaces between the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. The notes not played. The ads that would, one imagines, be playing everywhere in America during this time. This time being right before Reagan was elected president, in a landslide. Sounds regular and not weird. For real, some of them will be regular and not weird. Like the first one.
These new granola clusters are a delicious, sweet, chewy treat. But I like them because they're 100% natural, made with things like honey, oats, natural sugars, with no additives or preservatives.
Hey, candy lovers, something new, granola clusters. Granola's answer to candy.
My answer to candy.
See? It's fine. Not a single dumpster baby there. Just a corporation pretending their product is healthy because it's natural. We've been doing that forever and still do it, and it'll be a thing that always is. So why are we even doing this video? Is there something sinister about these granola clusters? Or maybe a metaphor I can shoehorn in at the end or something? Stick around to find out. I'm not gonna play every ad in this video is my point. Sometimes I'll want to, but I won't. And a lot of them seem innocent enough, until we start to notice some patterns. For example, in the first ad break, we get multiple commercials aimed at a certain demographic that, perhaps, of which most of us aren't really a part.
This wine always takes me back to the lake and that tiny island we used to sail to for those great picnic lunches with Lake Country wine. And I'll never forget those parties. Great food, and Lake Country wine. Light, fruity wines that made everything taste better. Guess what I'm thinking about?
Is it Lake Country wine, you money wad? The only wine that comes in a giant salad dressing bottle? For the record, I do not believe Lake Country wine was an expensive brand. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. And yet it was marketed to people who routinely take their boats to island parties, or to people who think they're the kind of person who might one day take a boat to an island party. It appears to be made by the wine company Taylor, which, wouldn't you know it, had just been bought out by the Coca-Cola Company in 1977 in what is described as a corporate takeover of a family business. Because it's 1980, baby! It's like watching the middle of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Not everyone has been enveloped into the great unicorp just yet, so we're actually going to see some unfamiliar brands. But most notably, we're going to see a lot of ads that want to associate themselves with the upper class and fancy lifestyles. Right before this, there's a whisk commercial centered on a family at the tennis club. You know how you're always getting collar stains while you're doing a quick match with the boss down at the Golden Racket? And throughout, we will see everyday products placed on ornate pedestals in elegant rooms, as if to attain them is to also attain wealth and status. Almost every ad will feature a big suburban house and just sort of assume that middle-class life is the baseline, which is a stark difference from today, where advertising to the current adult generation is far more focused on their lack of wealth. We're poor now is my point, more than before. If being poor was money, we'd be rich. And you can really feel it when watching this broadcast aimed at the same demographic in the 80s. As we get into the next ad break, we continue to see this difference, such as a mascara ad where everyone is on a yacht. But with that discrepancy, we also start to spot similarities. Because I don't know if you know this, but advertising is, and always has been, a little unhinged in a way that's not unlike the slop we see today. Exhibit A.
Stack up a lively sandwich, cheese adds a slice of life. Pep up a livelier party, cheese adds a slice of life.
That there is an ad for cheese. Which cheese? Nope. You idiot. Just cheese. The idea of cheese, and how it will make your food obtain brief moments of sentience and squirm about like a frightened worm on a lab table. delicious. You might remember how we used to do more ads for Cheese the Concept, much like we did Got Milk ads. There's actually something called the Agricultural Marketing Service, which exists to just advertise on behalf of American farms. And during this time, at the end of the 70s, we actually had too much cheese in America. What I mean is that Jimmy Carter had just bailed out a struggling dairy industry, resulting in a surplus of milk production, which the government then purchased and processed into cheese. Government cheese! A phrase you might have heard. Cheese that the government just had. They didn't know what to do with it, and in fact, one official had suggested they just dump it in the ocean. It took like a year after this broadcast of the Jayne Mansfield story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger for Reagan to do the obvious. Just give it to needy people. But only after left-wing groups pushed him to do it, pointing out his cuts to the food stamp program, while also hoarding surplus cheese. It's just so obvious in retrospect, and we have to assume to reasonable people at the time that if we produce too much of something, there's no reason not to just give it to people who need it, especially, but not only, when the other option is dump it in the ocean. I point this out because we are currently in a similar situation where farms are overproducing. But going back to this ad for cheese and dairy marketing throughout the years, the government ultimately went in a different direction. In 1983, Reagan signed the Dairy Production Stabilization Act, specifically to appease a group of Republicans in need of re-election, as well as the dairy lobby. This act included the creation of a dairy promotion program that would go on to work closely with corporations in order to push products like cheese on the consumer. Presumably, so we never have to give away free cheese ever again. And boy, we sure did start eating more cheese. And for good reason. A, yum. And 2, the dairy promotion program is why, for example, Domino's Pizza exists in our school cafeterias. It is the reason why, no joke, the Taco Bell Cantina double steak quesadillas even exist. Cheese! We injected it into everything, turning all the food into a wriggling nightmare. Speaking of wriggling nightmares, here is an ad from the 90s that is a direct result of the dairy promotion program.
Do you really think this is the right thing for us to be doing, Ivana?
What will people think?
Let them talk.
Donald.
Ivana. It's wrong, isn't it?
But it feels so right.
Then it's a deal?
Yes, we eat our pizza the wrong way.
Crust first.
He buried her on his golf course. Again, to be clear, that is not an ad from the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. But that sexy Donald Trump ad was made possible thanks to the dairy promotion program encouraging the invention of stuffed crust pizza, and therefore causing that ad to exist. You can draw a direct line from that cheese ad to Reagan, to that Trump ad, to Trump using his pop culture celebrity to become president. Am I saying we should blame cheese for authoritarianism? Yes. Is it still delicious? Obviously, cheese, watch it, it's a yummer. Anyway, this ad would be soon followed by another one with a familiar slop sheen, but of a different variety.
Mrs. Lee, I'm going to convince you that one pain reliever is different from all these others.
Oh, you'll never do that.
Okay, watch. 2 regular tablets, 650 milligrams. These other pain relievers also, 650 milligrams, 650 milligrams.
You see, they're all the same.
Look, 800 milligrams.
Addison has more pain reliever.
More pain reliever and a special combination of ingredients.
I'm going to try Addison.
Get the Addison difference.
Fun fact, that special combination of ingredients is, in fact, aspirin and caffeine. That's by their own admission. Also cancer and kidney failure at the time. And to be F&B, Addison wasn't the only medicine that had the ingredient phenacetin, which was being removed that same year. But wow, the ad, that is slop. The guy's like, I'm gonna convince you that one of these painkillers is different. And she's like, well, I doubt it. Nothing could ever be different from something else. And then he just puts down boxes where one of the boxes says something different. And she's like, wow, I can't believe it. Such wizardry. Like it's a game show or something. It just gives me that TikTok vibe where an ad tries to disguise itself as like a prank video or someone being randomly approached on the street. Also, I'm pretty sure the reason this Anison ad is so weird is because just a few years earlier, they got in trouble for falsely advertising that their product that had the aspirin and caffeine in it was also a stress reliever. My stress is so relieved. See, basically they're a bunch of painkillers and most of them are the same product, but they had to find ways to pretend they were better. Anison, one of the oldest of these products, has a long history of pretending they were something other than aspirin, likely because aspirin is actually cheap to buy. They aren't the first, but one of the pioneers of getting rich simply by slapping a brand on something ordinary. Like putting your name on bland steak. I bring up Trump only because there's a 1988 Atlantic article about Anison where the reporter calls the former CEO of the company, who speaks exactly like our current president, saying, quote, I don't talk to prostitutes, before hanging up on them. None of that is in this dipshit Anison ad, but it's all bubbling under the surface. There's sort of a crossroads here, a point of American glee caked over tales of corporate malpractice and the overproduction of goods that could, in theory, push into a new era of accountability, regulations, and public assistance. But didn't. And instead, it's foreshadowing an era of government-mandated commercialism and corporate takeovers. This deep darkness festering, creeping up like a spider under your pillow. It's like watching the months before 9/11, knowing that America was hurtling toward a sickness to which there was no cure.
Hey everybody, guess what's up?
They up the fresh and freshen up. They up the fresh. Up the fresh, up the fresh. How they up it?
With new flavor waves for more refreshing flavor through the gum.
Truly dark times. Okay, maybe I'm being dramatic. This is our third ad break in the broadcast of the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. An ad for a gum called Freshen Up, which I guess existed. According to the scholars at snackhistory.com, it was discontinued not long ago, and most notably did an ad in the 70s where they compared their product to committing suicide by cop. I'm only a little bit exaggerating there.
Yahoo! You nuts or me?
Honest, Sheriff, I didn't know the gum was loaded.
You didn't know Freshen Up was loaded with flavor?
Specifically the cop from Dukes of Hazzard. Yet somehow, that's still better than their previous It Comes in Your Mouth campaign.
Hey, what do you love about Freshen Up gum?
Love that squirt.
What do you love when you bite into one?
Love that squirt.
Okay, everyone calm down. We're having some fun with this discontinued gum. Nothing scary about gum. Oh, but also sorry, around the time of that ad, the magnesium stearate dust in this gum ignited and killed 6 factory workers. So the gum was loaded after all. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I don't know for sure if that's why they moved away from the whole this gum will squirt and or go off like a gun angle, but you know, the company was cleared of wrongdoing because while they knew the chemical was dangerous, they were trying to phase it out. You can't stop making gum entirely though, I guess. Freshen forward. Again, it's a crossroads moment. The late 70s weren't a great time for many reasons. We were coming off of a recession after all, but there are a lot of artifacts here that point to a version of America that could have addressed the current problems and led us to a better situation. Like the very next ad for Chicken of the Sea is actually themed around the fact that they are regulated by the government, although they do that in a very creepy way.
My tuna casserole is approved by the U.S. government.
Huh. Maybe I don't say it like that. They make it real cutesy, saying that mermaids like their tuna, because I guess mermaids hate tuna and want them to die, along with the dolphins that were ostensibly used as bait. You see, encircling pods of dolphins to catch tuna was a commercial practice that, when exposed, led to boycotts. as well as regulations requiring things like those dolphin safe labels that are notably missing from that Chicken of the Sea commercial, because the whole dolphin safe thing didn't come until the late 80s. That future label being, as others have pointed out, oddly specific. Like, what of, other sea creatures? Best not to think about it. Or the lawsuit that happened back in 2019 about how these brands aren't actually dolphin safe. Or the lawsuit before that lawsuit where the 3 biggest tuna brands pleaded guilty to criminal conspiracy in a price-fixing scandal. Because I guess tuna is a weird monopoly now. One tuna, and eventually, no dolphins. But back to this ad from one of the companies implicated in all that stuff I just said. There was this will they won't they with the idea of regulation during this time, and you can feel the Reagan of it all creeping in. Because at this point, we need to mention the actual movie playing around these ads, which if you don't recall is the Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because I don't know if you know this, but Jayne Mansfield died young and quite tragically, as depicted in the Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Fucking yikes. Basically, her head was crushed when the car she was a passenger in collided with and went underneath the back of a tractor trailer. A real Final Destination situation. Someone should put like a bar or something to prevent that from happening. Oh wait, they did! It's literally called the Mansfield Bar. Jayne Mansfield's death was a famous example of a lack of and then push for a much needed safety regulation. As an aside, stronger Mansfield bars weren't officially mandated until the 90s, and that was after pushback from the trucking industry. So she died in a car she wasn't driving due to the lack of a certain simple safety measure. And what's fascinating is that this movie, the Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, seems to want to imply that her death was kind of her fault, or rather, a lot of the film is spent on everyone's concerns that Mansfield is too focused on her flailing career and not spending enough time on her family.
But you haven't done a film in Hollywood in years. Besides, you don't have to work anymore. I can take care of us. I run my business and investment from up here.
But I am a movie star, that's what I do.
Well, maybe it's time to stop for a while.
Boy, he's trying. There are a lot of scenes like this, of people telling her to stop working and to stop having ambition, and it's hard to tell if the movie knows that that's unfair. And then, in the end, she dies on her way to a gig. The film appears to treat that as a result of her choices in life, and the fact that she acts unsafe in cars.
I don't have to be careful. I am the toast of Hollywood. Oh, I want some more champagne. Baby, stop and get me another bottle of champagne.
Please come down.
I don't ever want to come down. I wish the whole city of Dallas could see me now.
Cody, it's dangerous up there.
Odd film. Might be a bad and stupid movie. I don't mean to dump on it too much, I guess. I just think it's interesting that this biopic wanted to give some meaning to her death and decided to link it to the fact that she was out working late, when the reality is that her death wasn't even close to being her fault. It was an undeserved death, partially due to a lack of regulations that the film treats as a personal responsibility issue before showing us this slasher movie zoom in of her screaming face moments before she's killed. Hey, gross. And so you see how this all feels like it's leading to something, right? Because it's actually going to get grosser and weirder. But before it does, here's our ad break. I hope it's as fun as the ads we've shown you so far, and for stuff that doesn't turn out to be bad.
It's almost Father's Day, and Lord knows my dad deserves to know how special he is. But he'll probably be laid up in bed again because of what his old, beat-up, leathery wallet is doing to his back every time he sits down. That's all going to change now that I've discovered the Ridge wallet. Its unique, slim, modern design holds up to 12 cards plus cash, and it's made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. Why, that sounds to me like something out of one of those Star Wars. The Ridge wallet has more than 100,000 five-star reviews in the newspaper, and with free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty, I might just get one for my husband as well. For a limited time, Ridge is running their huge Father's Day sale where you can get up to 40% off their best gear. Just head to ridge.com/SMN and don't miss out on one of their biggest discounts all year. That's ridge.com/SMN for up to 40% off. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Ridge.
Oh, hi there. I saw you come in and that's why I'm talking to you. I have to tell you about this game-changing product I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. I know what you're thinking. Something that comes before alcohol? Sounds tough, but actually, if I'm going out with friends to enjoy this new drink they're calling a pina colada, because it's in the past, or it's in the present, but it's pina coladas are new in my world. I can have a pre-alcohol probiotic drink by Z-Biotics to leave myself feeling fresh and jubilant the next morning. As the new official Z-Biotics jingle based on the verbatim required ad text goes, Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink alcohol, it gets converted into a toxic byproduct. In the gut, it's a buildup of this byproduct. Not dehydration that's to blame for rough days after drinking. 'Cause pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly. Tomorrow you'll be fine. That's because we all know that jingle. Since I started using pre-alcohol, I don't wake up feeling like a floppy disk anymore. Instead, I feel like a floppy disk is the only kind of disk that exists now in my world. So I'll need something firmer and more alert and focused. Go to zbiotics.com/more news to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use more news at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So remember to head to zbiotics.com/more news and use the code more news at checkout for 15% off. You don't know the jingle? I did it how it goes. This isn't a piano! Well, it's this again. Yes, we're here, we're back, and we're still talking about the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. That hasn't changed. Still not sure why we're doing it. Maybe we're mad at you. Maybe we wanted to hurt you. I don't know. Was it a bet? Are we winning a bet right now? Did we lose a bet? Well, whatever the case, we don't have a choice. We've come too far. We're already on still the third ad break out of 7. There are 7 ad breaks in this 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and we're gonna talk about all of them, I guess. Seems stupid, whatever. Anyway, ad break 3 had that exploding jizz gum, if you recall. And to be fair, and that other thing, a lot of these ads aren't sinister on their face. They just give hints of what was happening during this time. In some ways, they are vastly different from what we see today, and in other ways are exactly the same. You may have noticed, for example, the presence of jingles. For you kids, commercials used to make up whole little fun songs for their products. It was an entire now extinct industry that during the time of this 80s broadcast was already getting a little stale. Almost every commercial we've shown and haven't shown has a jingle. That gum that doesn't exist anymore had at least 3 different jingles. They probably had a 4th one too that hopefully isn't set at a location that makes it some sort of dark harbinger of
Wow!
Sit down, Krebs.
Sorry, Teach. I didn't know the gum was loaded.
You didn't know Freshen Up was loaded with flavor.
He didn't know the gum was loaded. But who expected all this taste? He didn't know the gum was loaded.
At least it wasn't about squirting, I guess. Anyway, it's post-Don Draper era slop at this point. The final nail would come a few years later, when Michael Jackson was asked to do a jingle for a Pepsi ad, but instead opted to just do a Weird Al version of Billie Jean. We can't play it here for obvious reasons, but instead of Billie Jean is not my lover, it's You're the Pepsi generation. And then it ends with Cheers the Pepsi way, instead of all the Billie Jean stuff. It's terrible. It fucking sucked. Which, of course, made Pepsi very happy. And surprisingly, a lot of musical artists were absolutely tickled pink with selling out. To quote Madonna, who also partnered with Pepsi during the release of Like a Prayer, "I like the challenge of merging art and commerce. As far as I'm concerned, making a video is also a commercial. The Pepsi spot is a great and different way to expose the record." So there you have it. Much like how we killed voice actors today by just giving those roles to Chris Pratt, we killed the jingle industry because rich artists wanted to double dip. Rich people cutting corners to get more rich. So it's different, but also the same. Otherwise known as capitalism. And it's not the only example you'll notice. Like, there are several ads for just objects. There's an ad for a plate and an ad for a raincoat. And it's kind of this quaint reminder that the world wasn't always run by 4 companies, and a fucking dinnerware set could afford and benefit from airtime. But at the same time, this is exactly like Instagram ads today, where you can get a targeted ad for a cat bowl or Star Trek themed fleshlight that, I don't know, looks like Quark's ear. It's different, but the same. But this is where the ads themselves start feeling a little sinister. As you keep watching, you begin to feel a little like you're on TikTok, flipping through slop, complete with millennial pause.
Why just color your hair when you can soft color it?
Fun. Also, that's from a later ad break. But beyond that, like TikTok, it's this constant barrage of tonal and messaging shifts where you're being told about unspeakable crimes 1 second and then being sold McDonald's the next. Literally.
She was the first woman to charge her husband with rape.
I just don't see why you have to make such a big deal about it.
The real story behind the headlines will surprise you. Rape and Marriage, the Rideout Case, Thursday at 9, 8 Central and Mountain.
Tomorrow on CBS.
Introducing McDonald's new McChicken Sandwich, a delicious new sandwich at a McDonald's kind of price.
So much to process from less than 20 seconds. That McChicken looks huge. What happened to the McChicken, folks? Yes, that was Linda Hamilton, eventual star of The Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and Terminator Dark Fate, which also starred Arnold Schwarzenegger from the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And yes, that was also Mickey Rourke, future co-star of The Expendables, which also co-starred Arnold Schwarzenegger from the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And yes, that movie was called Rape and Marriage, like a fun little play on the Frank Sinatra song Love and Marriage, and is in fact about a true instance of marital rape. And while that ad played before a McDonald's ad, the ad that played before it was this.
Your magic's in the air, and I know you won't play fair, but then you make me dare, you scoundrel. You're such a scoundrel. wicked, wicked scoundrel.
Scoundrel, the magical new fragrance from Revlon.
You're my scoundrel, you.
Beware, there's magic in the air. Scoundrel by Revlon.
Okay, so in the span of like a minute, we get a perfume ad about a scoundrel who's so obsessed with a woman that he sees her everywhere, set to a tune that is even more clearly aping Frank Sinatra. Then to an ad for a movie about marital rape that is also somehow playing off of Frank Sinatra, to the brand new McChicken. And you can't help but think about Donald Trump, a man who has been accused of marital rape and who also loves him some Frank Sinatra. The kind of person that scoundrel ad feels built for. And you think about that right-wing trad wife movement that wants to take us back before this point, when things like marital rape were legal, where this slice of television from 1980 is still too progressive for some of the conservatives today. It's all just swimming around in these ads, tainting them, before they cut to a news break to tell us this.
A big loss for Chrysler, the story at 11.
Oh, thank God it's not about the dumpster baby. I was white-knuckling that for a second. Also, what's that Hudson's thing? What's Hudson? Is that a guy? No. So Chrysler was losing money, it turns out, which was significant at the time because they had just received a bailout months earlier. This is the first hint we see in the video of a gas crisis that was happening at this time and earlier in the 70s. Every American car company had specialized in gas-guzzling muscle cars, much like how we love our big special trucks today. But as gas prices went up, people started moving towards smaller foreign-made cars. There was, of course, Japan. We can observe that Japan became seen as a corporate threat in such historical texts as Back to the Future Part 2 and Die Hard. But anyway, Chrysler got the bailout and eventually bounced back, before failing once again during the 2007 recession and getting another bailout. Except that time it didn't work, in part because Chrysler was still relying on selling vehicles that ate a lot of gas. They hadn't learned any lesson from before. And after getting billions from the government, the company was bought out by Fiat, a foreign company known for tiny cars, in 2014. Anyway, none of that is mentioned in that news break, probably because most of it happened decades in the future. But as we get further into the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, we're gonna hear more about gas prices during this time. A concern around foreign oil. Another crossroads moment here for car companies and America, followed by a deliberate effort not to learn from any mistakes. Just a country circling this drain, never caring to reach for a life preserver as it plummets deeper and deeper into the eddy's current and into the icy depths. Which is, I guess, where we are now, crushed at the bottom, no hope to survive.
Open a jar of pizza quick sauce and open your own pizzeria.
New Ragu Pizza Quick Sauce turns bread into pizzeria fresh pizza.
Oh my God, that looks so good. Holy shit, did you fucking hear that? Ragu pizza sauce that turns any bread into pizza? Like are communion wafers bread? There's a priest in the ad, like the family brought a priest they found over to check out this ragu. Maybe we can ask him. He's probably dead now. He's an old priest. Like seeing a dog in a black and white picture. What was I talking about before?
Open a jar of pizza quick sauce.
Pepperoni, mushroom, traditional sausage.
Sausage? Like you don't even need to add toppings? It's in the sauce. Do they not still make that? Maybe I can buy a jar on eBay. I'm gonna drink the old jar of sauce. This is an ad break 4, by the way. I actually have no sinister twist about the Ragu quick pizza sauce. But I didn't look for anything either. I don't know. Maybe it's made with lead. Who gives a shit? It looks delicious. This ad break is actually not terrible if we're like rating them. There's an ad for the film The Stuntman, which had Peter O'Toole, so that's pretty rad. It's worth noting the sheen of middle to upper class marketing that's still there. A conditioner ad where the lady appears to be in some kind of luxury orgy space. There's a Mazda ad where the people getting the car live in a castle of sorts, but are notably happy about the mileage the car gets, because Mazda, unlike Chrysler, apparently knew that was a concern. And we are, in fact, reminded of that reality, and a lot of reality at the second news break.
An investigation is underway tonight in Taylor, where a 2-day-old baby has been found dead and discarded in a garbage dumpster. Iran's parliament will hold open debate tomorrow on the fate of America's hostages. Parliament debated today, then recessed without making any decisions on the hostages. The presidential candidates wasted no time getting back on the campaign trail after last night's debate, and Chrysler Corporation has reported a third-quarter loss of $490 million. More news tonight at 11 o'clock.
Shucks. The baby's back. Can't all be ragu pizza sauces, but this is the first real glimpse at what is happening in the world during this time. Most notably, the upcoming presidential election and the Iran hostage crisis. And until this moment, the Republican Party has been a mere whisper in the darkness of these ads, a faint odor in the air, like the moments before a lightning strike. You can just feel the vibes are off. And then we hit ad break 5, and the great inky eye opens.
Danisher.
You can make magic, you know.
Better taste makes the Danish Danisher.
With the magic of pop and fresh dough.
Okay, not quite yet. Danisher? It's Danisher? That feels racist. Why does he sound like that? Sounds like he smokes. Okay, just play the next one.
Congressman, I think we're running out of gas.
Oh, no. It's not as if the Democrat Congress didn't have a warning. The last 3 presidents warned them.
Congressman, we are running out of gas.
But the Democrats, who have controlled Congress for 25 years, ignored them. They just went blindly down the road.
Hey, we're out of gas!
The Democrats are out of gas. Vote Republican for a change.
Hell yeah, we got there! After over an hour of buttering us up with stories of dead babies and ragu sauce and rape and marriage and scoundrels, the GOP has made their move. This is one of 2 political ads during the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, both of which encourage us to vote Republican for a change. There are 0 ads for Democrats, and you're probably wondering what this whole out of gas thing is. Well, as I keep saying, we had an oil crisis at the time, or rather, we thought we did. In reality, the oil supply had only dipped a few percentage points, and what actually created the problem was the panic buying from consumers, as well as gas companies raising prices in anticipation of a shortage. We weren't running out of gas, as the ad states. Obviously, there were issues in the Middle East, more on that in a bit, and Carter did do some stuff to cause the price of gas to rise. Specifically, he deregulated gas prices a year earlier with the stated goal to wean Americans off of foreign oil, saying, and I quote, "Our national strength is dangerously dependent on a thin line of oil tankers, stretching halfway around the earth, originating in the Middle East and around the Persian Gulf. One of the most unstable regions in the world." Oh wow, he was right there, huh? Not saying it was good to deregulate gas prices and let the corporations go wild, but Carter, on multiple occasions, seemed to know that what is happening right now in America was going to keep happening unless we stopped relying on oil. He put solar panels on the White House roof, again, as a way to move us away from oil. Those solar panels would be torn off by Reagan in the coming years. Of course. God, he sucked. Because just like Chrysler never deviating from their gas-guzzling cars, America has and will continue to insist on oil. The GOP especially. But here they are, telling us to vote for them for a change and stoking panic about a gas shortage caused by panic over gas shortages. As a weird aside, the actor playing the Democrat in that video is named Ed Steffi, and he considered himself a Wendell Willkie Republican, according to one interview. Wendell Willkie was a presidential candidate who changed parties from Democrat to Republican to run against FDR before embracing Roosevelt's politics and even proposing a new third moderate party that would bring them together. Not saying Wendell Willkie was a good person, whatever, just pointing out that the actor in this 80s ad supported a moderate version of the GOP that would be absolutely hated by the modern right wing. And I think that's fun to point out. Fun's the wrong word. Hey, did you know that earlier in the year, before the airing of the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, the former Texas governor John Connally went to Iran in secret in order to persuade them not to release the hostages until after the presidential election? That's a real thing that happened. He did it on behalf of Bill Casey, Ronald Reagan's campaign manager at the time. I repeat, Ronald Reagan secretly delayed the release of American hostages in order to make his political opponent look bad so that he could win the presidential election. And he succeeded. And then he got to live out an entire legacy and not go to jail. Dennis Quaid played him in a movie about how great he is. Was it a good movie? No. But I don't have a movie where Dennis Quaid plays me. So, I mean, I'd be lucky to get Randall Quaid. So this is all tied together, right? The GOP ad leveraging outrage over gas prices, blaming the Democrats, the barrage of news about this Iran hostage crisis, all leading up to the 1980 election. The GOP snaking their way into power, using fear and propaganda and lies, all seen in this 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. This crossroads in America where we are tricked into taking the wrong path, and we never get back.
Whisper to me. If you want to capture someone's attention, whisper. Whisper to me. If you want to capture someone's attention, whisper with nuance.
Nuance as soft and as provocative as a whisper.
Nuance lasts and lasts, and like a whisper, is impossible to resist. Whisper to me.
Nuance by Cody, when you want to capture someone's attention.
Everyone else saw that ad, right? I didn't just make that in my brain. Did they say it's by Cody? Did I make that perfume and forget? You see how the more you watch it, the more you lose your mind? Like, social media and TikTok are worse, but it's just a slightly faster version of this, right? I'll show you. Brace yourselves. I'm going to play nearly a minute from the 6th ad break of this broadcast of the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We love you. We need you.
We feed you with Skurligans, the cat loves cat food.
This is the Democrat commemorative dollar. It commemorates the 25 years that the Democrats have controlled our Congress and our economy. It commemorates 25 years of reckless spending. Since the Democrats got control of Congress, spending has increased 700%, and taxes have increased 700%. And what is that dollar worth today?
36 cents.
Vote Republican for a change.
A 2-day-old baby was found dead in a Taylor garbage dumpster. That story at 11.
Cute cats, vote Republican, dead baby. It's just Twitter, right? The constant stream of adorable and abominable used to lubricate the propaganda in between. It makes you realize what RoboCop was so on about, assuming you didn't already know. Fear and slop and ads and fear, and what the f even is this?
An all-new show from the award-winning Body Human series, The Sexes Part 2. Exciting and all-new shows Sunday night.
Body Human series? You couldn't name it the Human Body series? Just swap the words, guys. Swap them! Again, it makes you realize why we're all so fucked up. Our parents just sat and watched this while we as kids also sat and watched this. And then we act shocked about the stuff our kids are watching now, as if that isn't just an extension of this tradition. It's just... In watching this 1980 TV movie, The Arnold Anderson Story, starring Loni Mansfield and Jayne Schwarzenegger, I couldn't help but feel the parallels to the media landscape that led to and continue to plague the Trump era. The ads, the slop, the commercialism, the Middle East and the gas crisis. The feeling like after Obama, we had a chance to continue down a certain path and decided to regress instead. And it makes me wonder what there is to learn about this copy of the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, that could perhaps apply today. But then there was an ad for The Awakening starring Charlton Heston, and I forgot everything again.
They thought they had buried her forever. The Awakening.
What is that about? Why haven't I seen that? Synopsis says it's a guy whose daughter gets possessed by an Egyptian queen. Is that not also the plot of Lee Cronin's The Mummy? Why didn't they just remake The Awakening instead? Are we stuck in a time loop? We should go to one more actual ad break so I can watch The Awakening, and then we'll solve this mystery once and for all. After the break, we're gonna tell you why we're all here. watching this video, not on Earth.
You catch her eye from across the art gallery. She gives you a furtive look and wanders over to a painting by some young, new abstract artist. But then she stops, puts down her champagne glass, and turns back because she's just recognized that you're potentially saving hundreds of dollars a month on your wireless bill after switching to Mint Mobile. It's just $15 a month, you say as she approaches. Plus unlimited talk, text, and data. Fast, reliable coverage on the nation's largest 5G network. And yeah, you get to keep your same phone and number. It's all yours. Don't let anyone take it away from you. You link arms and leave together. Isn't your husband the artist we're here celebrating? You ask. But then she replies, almost at a whisper.
The wireless plan! The wireless plan! Tell me more!
You step out into the rain and give the lady what she wants, which is you saying, to get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/more news. That's mintmobile.com/more news. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/more news. That's it. There's no catch. And then you remember the disclaimer and say, $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower, above 40 GB on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. At this point, you're in a taxi, really giving it to this married broad. Giving information about Mint Mobile to her, respectfully. Then you go to, Chili's. And you say, thanks for the advice. I mean, you're welcome for the advice about the phone plan stuff.
I'm a modern woman on the go. Between work, aerobics class, and fighting the corporation trying to close our community center, I barely have enough time to catch my breath before rushing downtown to watch the brand new film that just came out, Private Benjamin, starring Goldie Hawn. So, I need proven fast hydration from Drip Drop. They use science-based formulas for rapid hydration, so you feel results fast while getting 3 times the electrolytes of leading sports drinks. It works so well that it's no wonder over 90% of top college and pro sports teams use it, including, I assume, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just won Super Bowl 14 a mere 9 months ago. That Terry Bradshaw is a real looker. Drip Drop also just released Zero Sugar Plus, a breakthrough formula with an advanced blend of 6 key electrolytes, 15 essential vitamins and nutrients, and no sugar or artificial sweeteners. There are 16 original flavors and 8 Zero Sugar Plus options, including my favorite flavor, Strawberry Kiwi. It's not just for workouts either. As long as you're living an active lifestyle, it's so gloriously hydrating that I bring Drip Drop with me everywhere I go in my brand new Isuzu Piazza. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code MORENEWS. That's dripdrop.com, promo code MORENEWS for 20% off. Stock up now at dripdrop.com and use promo code MORENEWS.
Tonight on Pluto TV, she's a straight-laced scientist who believes there's an explanation for everything, and he's a rabid conspiracy theorist who's seen the paranormal. It's The X-Files, tonight at 9, 8 Central, or whenever you decide to put it on, because that's how streaming works. After, or in between, or before that, check out an all-new, the entire series of The 100, Battlestar Galactica, Fringe, Arrow, and or Charmed. Then get ready for non-stop action and thrills with The $1 Billion: Duel of the Despocitos, The Night of the Endless Caboose, The Ghost from Hell, The Dental Crown Affair, Edward G. Robinson's Funeral, A Death Before Dying, The Jet Ski from Hell, Thunder Goat, the kiss of the killer killer. Bullet Boat, the boat that's also a bullet. The Hellcat, from heaven. Tremulous Whispers, Skirtuosity, and Flunge. Stay tuned after the news, by which I mean, go to Pluto TV and stream now. Pay never, stream now. Pay never, stream now. Pay never, go to Pluto TV and stream now. Pay never. In stores everywhere, like the apps on your TV.
Mike Newell. The director of The Awakening is Mike Newell. He did a Harry Potter, Donnie Brasco, and Pushing Tin. Mike Newell. Director of Mona Lisa's Smile. Just pulls scripts out of a bag and makes that script, I guess. Also, I watched it. It's boring. There's not a single mummy in it. It's all vibes and incest. There's incest in the film, more than you'd expect. Was this anything? This episode? The Awakening trailer was in the 7th ad break, by the way. So we did it! We got through the entirety of this copy of the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. We can all walk away and never speak about this again! Except, here's some more news. More news right at the end, which isn't actually the end. And that's the more news! This isn't over! After the credits roll for the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, this YouTube video continues for another, no foolin', 10 minutes! We get 10 bonus minutes of this broadcast from October 29th, 1980. 10 beautiful minutes that actually encapsulates everything we just looked at. And in fact, now that I say it out loud, we didn't need to watch everything before it. Yeah. Damn. We really didn't need to watch this whole thing. That would have been ideal. How did I even find this video? Of the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, whatever. So the movie ends and we get a trailer for the movie Love at First Bite, which is about Dracula in New York. Should have just called it Dracula in New York. And then here comes Rape and Marriage one more time for an encore. I bring it up because it's sandwiched between Dracula preying on city dames and then this extremely important ad for Star magazine.
Her life has been marked with sorrow. In this week's Star, discover Mary Tyler Moore's secret agony over the death of her only son. The moving story of a mother and child reunion that ended in tragedy. Also in the Star, Caroline Kennedy's shattered romance. An exclusive interview with Sophia Loren, the emotion-charged story TV couldn't tell, and a doctor's guide to marital bliss.
I'll show you how to be your own marriage counselor.
Plus Laurie Brady's hot new horoscope for winter.
Holy tonal shifts, Batman! And Robin, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger from the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Way to do a ska segue from Mary Tyler Moore's secret dead son to a guy who will teach you to be your own marriage counselor, right after the story of Rape and Marriage. Then Hudson's again? It's a pillow place, I guess? Oh, it's a department store. We used to have those before they all became Target. Anyway, as I said before, such slop. Such scams, such capitalism, all these contradictory ideas, using Sinatra to push perfume and then talk about rape in the same 30 seconds, where we seemingly sensationalize human tragedy in this scandalous tabloid way, zoom in on Jayne Mansfield as she screams for her life without really talking about what we're really talking about, without thinking about what is actually going wrong here. Like, you know why people put their baby in a dumpster? Probably because they were assaulted, or maybe they're homeless, or both. They do it because they are someone backed into a corner and don't have support. During the same time this was broadcasting in the city of Detroit, the local Republican Party was refusing to endorse the Equal Rights Amendment while pushing harsher food stamp requirements, zero aid to migrants, and less support for healthcare and abortion access. But when this video transitions into the actual dumpster baby news story, they don't mention any of that. They just interviewed this guy.
We are checking the complexes now to find out if anybody was pregnant in the area here and appeared to gonna deliver a baby recently.
That's a cop? Are we certain he's not one of those Second City guys on his way to improv class? Because if so, great job, buddy. If not, f you, pig. So yeah, they're just gonna try to arrest anyone who was pregnant and leave it at that. They certainly weren't going to explore the reasons why it happened so it can be prevented, because that's the theme. Not learning from mistakes, sprinkled with an aura of general hostility toward women at the time. As I mentioned, all the stuff with Mansfield. But what I haven't mentioned is that Rape and Marriage movie, well, as they say, it's based on a true story about the first man charged with marital rape in the United States. And while I haven't seen that movie, I went ahead and looked that up to discover that the man it's based on was, in fact, acquitted of those charges. He got away with it. And then, in a grotesque epilogue, he would go on to assault 2 more women about 40 years later. Right around Donald Trump's first presidential victory, actually. Another rapist, now president, who went on to deregulate and gut our government, including safety regulations for truck drivers. The kind of thing that could lead to an accident not unlike the one in the 1980 TV movie The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. We just didn't even try to learn or grow. And watching this broadcast, it's almost like a beautiful punchline that it ends with a minutes-long Reagan ad where he outlines his plans for America.
This is a man whose time has come, a man whose principles have been familiar to Americans for 30 years, a man whose accomplishments make him the natural choice for President of the United States. A man who believes that the decline of America must be halted and can be halted.
1, I will institute an immediate freeze on all federal hiring. That'll help us to start slowing down the growth of the federal bureaucracy, the single greatest cause of inflation in America today. 2, I will order that every example of waste and inefficiency in government be eliminated in as orderly a manner as possible. This will take great determination on the part of the president. Well, I intend to be very determined. 3, we won't just stop with the waste and inefficiencies we find. Why not get the benefit of a fresh outside look at things? What I'll do is call in the best minds from industry and from labor from many sectors and ask them to volunteer their time as a service to our country. Their assignment will be to go over the entire federal government with a fine-tooth comb and tell us where additional examples of waste are.
Oh, good. He's gonna ask industry outsiders to look for waste in our government, a sort of department of government, efficiency. Sweet dickish lord. He actually called it the Grace Commission. It was led by a fucking chemical company CEO with a history of, no shit, hiring a Nazi chemist as a company consultant. So a Nazi-adjacent rich guy looking for waste in our government. Slightly better than an open Nazi rich guy. In fact, the Grace Commission was somewhat ignored, some suggestions used, but ultimately bogged down with obvious conflicts of interest and scrutiny over the numbers not adding up. In other words, Reagan, who specifically said he wanted to drain the swamp, created an early version of Doge, and everyone was like, nah, that's really stupid, let's not do that. After all, it's such an obvious con, a way to sneak in corporate interests under the guise of something being healthy for us. Like trying to claim your granola cluster is good for you. See, I did it! I did the callback! This is all to say that today, with Trump, we didn't just not learn from our mistakes in the 80s, we even did some of the mistakes we didn't do. Extra mistakes! And it's all here, all in this 2-hour broadcast, the most important broadcast for understanding the pickle we're currently in. Carter, the one-term president, became a one-term president in part because he moved away from New Deal politics in a flaccid appeal to the center. He was conservative enough that he easily teed up Reagan to ride in on a wave of propaganda. Man, what if he got those hostages out before the election? Can you imagine? But it all feels very similar to what happened with Biden. There's all the propaganda and desensitization, oil crisis connected to the Middle East, never breaking away from gas. I mean, Carter could barely introduce that idea before it was snuffed out. In a way, it's comforting to know that not much has changed, until you realize that's exactly the problem. What this 2 hours of television really tells us, in the tone and the ads and the news, is that America is far more right-wing than I think most people realize. That our normal baseline view of this country has been conservative for a very long time. And any idea that we're moving to the left is actually a push toward the center. It's partly why the Democrats appear to be held to different, higher standards than Republicans. They are, for some reason, expected to make their case to Americans far more than the GOP. Well, can they appeal to middle America? The news always asks. Meanwhile, conservatives are simply the norm. And in a way, I guess that's correct. After decades of us and our parents and their parents watching and absorbing this slop, you realize why someone like Donald Trump was inevitable. He's a scoundrel, after all. It's all in there. And I guess the ultimate lesson we need to learn is that we need to identify this stuff, these patterns, as they happen instead of after the fact. So many people are acting like Trump was only a bad president in retrospect, as if people didn't warn them. And they will do that with the next bad choice too. We're always kind of standing at these crossroads, right? We always have a chance to change that course, perhaps in the upcoming midterms, just throwing that out. Maybe, ultimately. I just think it's interesting that all of that can be seen in this one copy of the 1980 TV movie, The Jayne Mansfield Story, starring someone. Who was that? Where am I? Am I at work? What am I doing? Did I just record something? Is it, what do I do? What do I say? Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching us talk about the Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. We've got a podcast, the Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's called Even More News. It's the podcast place. Even More News. Listen to it. You can listen to this. Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. We've got a patreon.com to some more news. The Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And also merch that you can get. The merch store. Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. What's that? Why do I keep saying that? I keep hearing this Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like going in my... But what is that? What is that? Jayne Mansfield Story starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. No? Wait, that's not it. Wait, Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Jayne Mansfield Story starring Loni Anderson and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Jayne Mansfield Story. What is that?